That is because rates are increased in thyroid, and that signifies overconsumption of oxygen is ruksha guna, and hyperventilation is lagu guna. This is a kind of shudra shwasa. Increased RBC mass. Increased RBC mass again. There is utilization of RBC for this oxygen transport. Once the oxygen consumptions are more, you need lot of RBC to carry this oxygen. So in that case, it increases the RBC by stimulating the production of erythropoietin. That is where the thyroid hormone and has a role in hematopoietic system. Thyroid hormone directly synthesizes erythropoietin from kidney. So that stimulus of synthesis of erythropoietin is by the overactive of the ruksha guna of the thyroid hormone. Cutaneous vasodilation, again it is by ushna guna. Tachycardia, it's lagu guna. Reflexes, again lagu guna. Beta adrenergic activity, all this excitability, increased synapses, these are all because of stimulating this. It is like a beta adrenergic activity. So that is why in all kind of hyperthyroidic symptoms, beta blockers are used. So what I would like to tell by these gunas are, these thyroid hormones does lot of physiology only with these kind of dominant gunas. So overall you can take that the thyroid hormones are lagu, ushna and ruksha. Activity of thyroid hormone causes increased lagu, ushna and ruksha in nature. And of course, when the thyroid hormone is performing anabolic activity, there is Snigdha guna and Guru guna. So, because Agni can cause Upajaya, Agni can cause Dadukshaya. Agni can cause both Dadukshaya and also as well as Upajaya. The Upajaya can happen only when there is proper nutrition supply. Once the nutrition supply is not that, or when hyperthyroidism develops, there is increased consumption of this nutrition happens at more faster rate. That is why in hyperthyroidism, you can see there is reduced cholesterol. You can see rapid absorption of glucose. You can see rapid absorption when you do glucose tolerance test. These are the things because overutilization is happening. So once overutilization of all these fuels are happening like carbohydrate, lipid, protein, all it is being utilized, and this utilization will create rukshada in the dhatu. So that is basic understanding of this thyroid functions of thyroxine hormone in a lot of other tissues. We can come to a point that it is operating with these more important gunas like lagu, ushna and ruksha. So one more thing which I would like to tell you regarding the vitamin metabolism. Thyroid hormone creates lot of enzymes. It synthesizes enzyme with utilizing vitamins. So the thyroid hormone utilizes vitamins more in case when it is elevated. In elevated thyroid hormone conditions, there is rapid utilization of vitamin and people suffer from vitamin deficiency. So again, I would like to say, I just quote that these vitamin deficiencies nothing but snehakshaya. All vitamin, protein, carbohydrate, these are all nutrients in the dhadus, at the dhadus. So these are being overutilized. Elevated carotene. You can see that in hypothyroidism. When there is hypothyroidism, there is reduced utilization of vitamin, there is reduced enzymatic activity, reduced vitamin utilization. So there will be an elevated level of vitamin A in the serum. So that is called hypercarotenemia, and this hypercarotenemia can cause yellow discoloration of the skin, that is pandu. In hypothyroidism, there is reduced utilization of vitamins, so vitamin A level may increase, and that can cause an yellow pigmentation that can be equated to pandu. So looking at these functions of thyroid hormone, you should understand these thyroid hormones are operating with those important three gunas, which is very vital in management. So overall, the metabolic effect of thyroid has been aptly described as accelerating the response to starvation. So you can say this is said in text. Like you can see the metabolic effect of thyroid has been very much described as an accelerating response to the starvation. So it is nothing but atilangana. So thyroid activity is atilangana. So the atilangana is done by Lagu, Ushna and Ruksha Guna. No doubt in that. So Atilangita Lakshana is nothing but Lagu, dominance of Lagu, Ushna and Ruksha. And you can expect that in case of hyperthyroidism, there is a dominant of Lagu, Ushna, Ruksha Guna at various dhatus, various dushyas. So I would like to say that thyroid hormone does Langana-like activity in almost every system. Ushna, Ruksha, Lagu are the principal gunas as per the function it performs. So not all the functions are done by Ushna, not all the functions are done by Ruksha, not all the functions are Lagu. For example, in case of reflex, if there is hyperreflexia, that is due to Lagu. If there is lipolysis, that is due to Ruksha. If there is reduced vitamins, that is due to Ruksha. If there is thermogenic, if there is heat intolerance, there is hyper sweating, that is due to Ushna. If there is wasting, again there is due to Lagu and Ruksha. So you need to understand this. There is a combination of guna. Many functions of thyroids are performed with a combination of guna. Many functions are performed either by singly or, as I already said, in combination. You can see this thyroid, it increases the number of mitochondria for increasing cellular metabolism. What it does is this thyroid hormone is creating a lot of mitochondria in the cells where it functions. So what is the role of mitochondria is it synthesizes energy by using oxygen. So oxidative phosphorylation is the mechanism by which that ATP is generated. So what thyroid hormone is, it overuses this oxygen and it overuses all these nutrients. Like it converts glucose and it into ATP, it converts fat, it converts protein. All these things have been overutilized because it augments the metabolism in all the cells. So again, it increases protein synthesis. This is the anabolic effect which I'd like to say. This Agni is having lot of catabolic effect and anabolic effect also. Since it improves protein synthesis in cells, it can does lot of anabolic functions as well. Like it promoting growth it is promoting growth only by synthesizing lot of proteins. It is promoting the growth of bone by promoting synthesis of proteins. And I already said there is lot of generation of ATP. There is increased consumption of oxygen and energy derived from the nutrient. And normal oxygen consumption is 225 to 250 ml. In case of hyperthyroidism, there is 450 ml is being used. In case of hypothyroidism, 150 ml of oxygen per minute is used. You can see how thyroid utilizes. When thyroid hormones are in excess, it utilizes lot of oxygens and these all kind of nutrients. So now I'll coming back to this pathophysiologies in a lot of thyroid disorders. Prior to mentioning these thyroid diseases, I'll say that you see in Ayurveda we try to understand any disease. We try to understand any disease by understanding this dosha, understanding the dushyas and all, right? And we try to operate on the doshas responsible, the dushyas responsible, and we formulate a prescription for this. But as we know, these thyroid diseases have been documented as different types of thyroid presentations are already being documented. So we can categorize this thyroid disease. There are a lot of categorized thyroid disease available as such. We have a deficiency thyroid disease. We have an thyroid disease with thyroid enlargement. Those thyroid enlargement can cause a hyperthyroidism or they can cause hypothyroidism as well. And you have a lot of diseases where there is overproduction of, you have other diseases where there is inflammatory thyroid pathologies, which is again causing this hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. There are congenital causes are there. So we have a list of causes. We have already the list of causes where these thyroid diseases, a lot of thyroid diseases are already being established. So we need to pick what actually those thyroid diseases are. That is more important. Though we have our own understanding of how a disease develops, we need to understand, like for example, we need to understand how a grave disease develops in Ayurveda, how an Hashimoto thyroid disease, how an autoimmune pathology develops, how an inflammatory pathology develops, how an deficiency pathology develops. So that is important. So in order to that, you need to identify doshas in any disease. As generally, for example, you can see that you know that all these dosha productions are from the kostas. The dosha productions are generating principally from the kostas, and these doshas goes to shaka either to nourish or to cause disease. They nourish if there is if it is properly formed. If it is abnormally formed, it is going to cause disease. So you need to understand that is the reason why all the diseases are having classification of Vada, Pitta, Kapha, Sannipada kind of types. So you need to understand what kind of dosha is initiating the pathology. That is the most important. That is the doshas. That is the thing we need to understand in dosha. What initiates the disease and how the pattern of that dosha is. That is more important. For example, you can see that diffuse swelling of thyroid. When there is a diffuse swelling, like in Graves' disease, there is generalized swelling because of overacting of autoantibodies on thyroid stimulating hormone receptors. So there is increased receptor stimulation by the antibodies formed. These antibody complex is similar to Sama Vada Kapha. All these autoimmune pathologies are always ama anubandha. You can see that once these doshas are not formed properly in the kostas, and again there is always production of doshas are happening. These doshas can mix with this ama. That is where sama dosha is being mentioned. These sama dosha can travel through Rasavaha Srotas to any part of our body. Based on their Srodoroda, it can initiate pathology then and there. These can initiate pathology at that point. And based on the peculiarity of those nidana, it can peculiarly act on particular dhatu. So what I would like to say is, here this diffuse swelling, the pattern of dosha is ama anubandha, that is sama vada kapha. These diffuse swellings are painless. In autoimmune Graves' disease like conditions. Is a diffuse swelling. This can be understood as a sama vada kapha operating at thyroid gland. Sama vada kapha is stimulating. You can understand that autoantibodies to thyroid receptors can be managed if sama vada kaphas are being managed. Nodular swellings. Nodular swellings, you can equate nodular swelling as kapha vada. All these granthis are vada kaphajas in nature. Thyroiditis, inflammatory pathologies of thyroid gland. Why an thyroid gland is having an inflammatory pathology? Because there is Kama Vada is stimulating this thyroid gland. Kama Vada is stimulating the thyroid gland to cause inflammation. And it is painful. It is painful because of it is painful and there is no redness in it. It is Samavada kind of pathology. Sama kapha generated inflammation. These are painless inflammations. In case of granulomatous thyroiditis, you can see there is redness, there is tenderness. These are Sama-Pitta mediated thyroid inflammations. In all kind of viral bacterial infection induced things, you can see there is a scope of considering ama visha, because those things are not digestible. Those cannot be done pajana. Visha cannot be managed with pajana dravyas. So these viral bacterial infective agents can be understood as an ama visha pathology. And already said all autoimmune should be considered as a sama dosha. So these are the important doshas which are operating at the thyroid gland and causing certain structural damages and thereby increasing the production or decreasing the production of thyroid hormone. You should understand that these are the doshas in various forms are being generated at the level of koshta due to mityahara vihara, and they are operating at this thyroid gland. They are operating at the level of thyroid gland. They are causing abnormalities at the thyroid gland. So what I already said, these are causing rasadushti, and rasadushti more specifically at the level of thyroid gland. Why it is selecting thyroid gland, I will be deciding it in the later slide. So you can say that even though there is these doshas are operating and causing certain pathophysiology at the level of thyroid gland, these are the primary pathophysiology. This is the primary thing which is happening at the level of thyroid to cause a lot of thyroid disorders. Either it would be an autoimmune disease, or it will be an inflammatory disease, or it will be an infective disease, or there will be deficiencies. There can be some nodular growths. These are the primary thyroid disease which are taking place. So either they are associated with hypothyroidism. Once they are associated with hypothyroidism, that is reduced synthesis, that is a case of Agni-mandya. When there is an elevated thyroxine secretion and synthesis, it is condition of Pittanubandha that should be understood as an Atyagni. So these are Samavada Kaphas are doshas, and those pathophysiology happening at the level of thyroid glands are the dushyas, which I will tell you. So when you want to treat these doshas, which are I already mentioned, you need to treat this doshahara chikitsa. That is the hetu viparita chikitsa needs to be operated. Once it is a Amavishajanya disease, a kind of bacterial infections or in viral infections, you should do Visha Shamana Chikitsa is the selection. That is where that cause is being managed. Only by doing a Visha Shamana Chikitsa, these bacterial endotoxin or viral toxins can be neutralized, managed. We cannot do Pajana in Visharoga. In Samadosha, all these autoimmune inflammatory pathologies, Pajana Rukshana is the most important thing. An appropriate Pajana Rukshana selection is to be done based on these rasas. In case of Samavada and Sama Kapha, these Kadu Tikta rasas are selected. In case of Sama Pitta, only Tikta rasas are selected. So you need to keep in mind that whenever there is a Sama Pitta Avastha, whenever there is a tender swelling, when there is a redness, when there is a rapid inflammation, you should consider it as a Sama Pitta Avastha, and you should select Tikta as a Pajanas. These are the most important initial treatment principle you select in case of these inflammatory pathologies. And you can already said in Samavada and Samakapha, you can select Kadu Tikta Rasas. You can select Kadu Rasas along with Tikta Rasas. But in case of Samapitha, you shouldn't select a Kadu Rasa Dravya. Once you select a Kadu Rasa Dravya, the chance of suppurations and rapid inflammations will be much more. So appropriate selection of the respective principles are essentials to counter the cause. This phase needs ideal patya for better outcome. During this phase of managing this hetu, the cause, the abnormal, the morbid dosha which is initiating the pathology. This morbid dosha is responsible for initiating the pathology. This is the first level of pathology. So you need to select appropriate dravyas, either a Vishashamana dravya, either a Pajana dravya. That is more important. And during the phase, appropriate patya need to be important. And the patyas which are mentioned for Jara, Langanam, Swedanam, Kalo, Yavagu, Tiktago, Rasa. This is more important. You can only take Yavagu without any lipids, without any oils. And that will help you in reversing this dosha, Sama doshas in very small time. So this is where you select the important Pajana Chikitsa, which is the most important Chikitsa at the initial part of the managing thyroid diseases. So once these doshas are managed, you need to understand the Vyadhis as well. You see that these doshas are operating on thyroid gland, and this thyroid gland is undergoing some dysfunctions, either by inflaming, either by forming nodules, or either by reducing the secretions, reducing the synthesis, or either by increasing the secretion and synthesis. This is how these thyroid gland react to the cause. And at some time, the thyroid gland reacts in an hypersecretion. In some time, the thyroid gland reduces the secretion. Either the thyroid gland is inflamed in an enlarged, in a diffuse pattern, or either the thyroid glands are enlarged in a nodular pattern or a cystic pattern. This is how it reacts. So this is where these principles of Vyadhi we need to be understand. And once this is decided, this pathophysiology at the level of thyroid gland is decided by the abnormal activity of Vayu at the level of thyroid. Once there is pranavayu dysfunction or udana vayu dysfunctions, that will be an opening for getting this stana samshaya at the thyroid. Again, any factors which is causing rasavaha srodho dishti again will cause you to manifest this disease at the level of thyroid. So that is the most important. So the identifying this panchavayu involved, the identifying these vayus which are getting impaired, identifying the srotas which is getting malfunctioned, identifying the dhadus is very important in these vyadhis. So I already said this thyroid gland, all these dysfunctions which are happening at the level of thyroid gland is understood as vyadhi. And based on the secretions of hormone, again, there is a lot of other manifestation in various dhatus, which I'll be explaining later. So identifying the panchavayu involved. How to identify the panchavayu involved? As I already said, these prana, udana, samana vayus are playing an important role in storage, synthesis, release, and its action at various levels. You can see once this udana vayu is not properly functioning, if it is not able to stimulate this thyroid gland, there will be some abnormality at the level of thyroid gland happening. Once it is overstimulating, that can cause enlargement of the thyroid gland. Once there is a deficiency, once there is an hyper elevated TSH, when the TSH secretions are increased, this TSH will stimulate this thyroid gland, and that can cause diffuse swelling. This is so once these udana vayu activities are dominant or increased at the level of thyroid, there is a probability of getting this srodho dushti at the level of thyroid. So that is more important. So again, all these inflammations are always associated with dysfunction of the samana vayu, because samana vayu is responsible for metabolizing all these doshas. Because samana vayu works at the level of dosha, shukla, artha, ambuva, srotas. All these srotas, these samana vayu act in these doshava srotas, so that these morbid doshas are not formed. Once these morbid doshas are formed, these are responsible for inflammation everywhere. So samana vayu dysfunctions is also inevitably happening at the level of thyroid gland. So once samana vayu dysfunction is happening, it can cause inflammation. Once udana vayu dysfunction, hyperactivity is happening, there will be enlargement of the thyroid gland. And these vayus are getting abnormal by many causes. For example, Guru aharas will directly cause udana vayu dysfunctions. Vegarodas, like chardi vegarodas, udgara vegarodas, kind of thing. Vegarodas can definitely cause these panchavayu dysfunctions. Pranavayu dysfunction can happen by ratri jagarnas. Samana vayu dysfunction can happen by intake of shida sangirna bhojana, akala jagara shayana, day sleeping. These kind of things can directly involve this samana vayu pathology. So these abnormality of samana vayu also predisposes these dysfunctions happening at the level of thyroid gland. And again, the srodho dishti is also very important. So there are a lot of srodho dishti nidana mentioned. So it is rasava srodho dishti nidana, stress, chindanam chadi chindanat, and all kind of adhyashana, anashana, viruddhashana, all are causing rasava srodho dishti. So this determine the srotas where the manifestation is formed. So you can see, generally the nidanas are classified as three. One is they are either increasing these doshas, that is there are vada vardhaka nidana, pitta vardhaka and kapha vardhaka nidana. There will be special nidana for panchavayus. There will be special nidana for dhadus. So this dosha nidana doesn't decide a disease. They decide only what doshas is going to cause a disease. Only the vyadhi nidana decides its site of manifestation of disease. So vyadhi nidana is nothing but this panchavayu nidanas as well as this sodo dushti nidana. So in all kind of manifestations, to understand a vyadhi, the most principal thing which help in understanding a vyadhi is a lakshana. So I already said the nidanas which can cause certain dysfunctions. Only by the manifestation of these lakshanas, you understand these particular dysfunctions being happening. For example, manobramsha or irritability or anxiety is a dysfunction happening because of Udanavayu dysfunction. It is because of an Udanavayu dysfunction. So you understand pathophysiology, and this pathophysiology is can be reflected by these vayus. So only by lakshana you can identify a particular dysfunction. So again, all these Jatru Urdhva Vigaras are due to Udanavayu dysfunctions. So you can, because in Jatru Urdhva there is a predominant vayus are Udana vayus, and in many of these Jatru Urdhva Vigaras, this Udana vayus role is very important. So only and similarly, this based on these lakshanas, we can understand these dhadus involved also. So only by various manifestations of this thyroid we can identify these dushyas. These dusya this includes doshas like pranavayu, all the panchavayus. It includes this dhadu. It includes indriyas. It includes malas. It includes all these samyavas, rodas, manodoshas, etc. So when you consider it as a dusya, these are nothing but all the dysfunctions is understood as dusya. So you can understand in thyroid gland, the enlargement is a dusya. So there is a rasadushti. Increased secretion of thyroxine hormone, it is agni dushti. This increased thyroxine is causing lipolysis, it is medokshaya. So you can say that there is rasadushti, there is agni dushti, there is medokshaya happening. So that is how you understand a particular vyadhi. So for understanding a vyadhi, you should identify all those dushyas. These are the determinants of a vyadhi. Whether there is which srotas is affected, what is the status of Agni, whether it is Vriddhikshaya. These essential determinants are important for finalizing a treatment method. Next, I'll talk on these nodular lesions. You can see there are pathologies of thyroids where there is nodular lesions, swellings, inflammation. These are broad terms with small differences. You can see these are equated to a Shobha Avastha in thyroid. Glandular swellings is nothing but dysfunction at the level of thyroid. These are these follicular cells. Follicular cell, there is cyst formation within the follicular cells. This is nothing but a Shobha Avastha in thyroid gland. You can operate, and in that case, in case of any glandular swellings, we need to select a Shobhara Chikitsa. These glandular swellings can present with hyperthyroidism because they may secrete certain thyroxine hormone. These are called hot nodules. Once they secrete excess thyroxine hormone, then you need to treat with Tikta Rasa. When there is Pitta Anubandha, you need to select Tikta Rasa and Shobhara Aushadas, like Punarnavadi Rashaya. If the glandular swelling is not producing this thyroxine hormone, it's not causing increased thyroxine hormone that is associated with hypothyroidism, then you need to select Kadirasa Shobhara Aushadas, Panchavala, Varanadi, Indugandham. Such drugs are selected. So based on this, if there is a nodular lesion, if there is a nodular swelling or inflammation, I already said that there is a cause behind the nodular swelling. As I already said, Vata Kapha is the cause. If there is an inflammatory, there is painful, is Samavada. If it is painless, it is Samakapha. And that is causing a glandular swelling or a nodular lesion. So based on that, you should select. If it is associated with hyperthyroidism, it is Pitta Anubandha, Tikta Rasa Shofagna Aushadha need to be selected to reduce this swelling of this thyroid, to reduce this cystic lesion, to reduce this nodular lesions. In cases with hypothyroidism, you need to use Kadu Rasa Shofagna Ausha. This is the apt selection in case of different presentation of thyroid swelling. Chobara activities is achieved by the Langana, Lekhana, Rukshana effect at the level of Rasadhatu, the thyroid gland. How these Chobara activity, these Tikta Rasas and Chobara Aushadas are either doing a Langana, Lekhana and Rukshana karma. And by doing this Langana, Lekhana, Rukshana karma, the thyroid gland swelling will reduce. So I have gone through this either a diffuse swelling or a focal swelling. So diffuse and focal swelling. Once diffuse swelling, if it is an autoimmune disease, you need to consider Ama Anubandha Lakshana. If it is not an autoimmune disease, you can take it as an Kevala Doshaja. Either one, based on the secretion of thyroid hormone, again we need to consider these dushyas or vyadhis. The signs and symptoms of hyperthyroidism or hyperactivity of Agni is an Lagu Ushna Ruksha in nature. This hyperactivity of Agni, I already said this thyroid function, dominant function by these three important gunas like Lagu Ushna Ruksha. These Lagu Ushna Ruksha's activity will be at a very prominent level in case of hyperthyroidism in combination or alone at various levels. Already the symptoms at various dhadus is already explained by Dr. Mukesh. For example, in Rasadhatu, if in Rasadhatu there is Dorbalya or there is an Shut Agamana, increased appetite, increased intake of water, these are all lakshana of Rasakshaya. And this Rasakshaya is caused by this Lagu Ruksha. So you need to understand this Ati Agni activity in various dhadus, in various combination is the presentation of hyperthyroidism. Either there will be a presentation of Lagu Guna at various dhadus. For example, Lagu Guna in the level of heart musculature, it causes increased heart rate. It can cause fibrillation, atrial fibrillation. If Lagu Vriddhi, increased heart rate, there is rapid activity is because of this Lagu Guna of this Agni, thyroid hormones. Increased excitability, increased reflex, increased irritability. These are because of this Lagu Guna. Weight loss is because of this Lagu Guna, as I already mentioned in the earlier slide. So you need to understand this hyperthyroidic presentation is nothing but increased Lagu Ushna Ruksha Guna. So in order, when we manage this case of thyroid toxicosis, the clinical presentation of hyperthyroidism, Guru Shida Snigdha Guna is important. So you need to select medicines which are Guru Shida Snigdha Guna, that is Shamana. That is nothing but an Vada Pitta Shamana Aushadas need to be selected. And next it is followed, when it is associated with Dhadu Kshaya, you need to follow it by a Brahmana Aushadas. In any case, Vada Pitta Shamanas are always Brahmana. It is ideal to these combinations. So you need to select medications which are Guru, Shida and Snigdha Gunas to manage this thyrotoxicosis. This is more important. Whereas in case of hypothyroidism, it is nothing but a reduced activity of Agni, that is reduced activity of this Lagu Ushna Ruksha Guna. There is a reduced activity of Lagu Ushna Ruksha Guna in combination or either alone at various dhadus, various indriyas, various malas, etc. So in order to increase the activity of Lagu Ushna Ruksha Guna, you need to do Langana, Swedana, Rukshana, Deepana according to the presentation. Once there is Sama Anubandha, you need to do Rukshana, Pajana, Langanas are more important. Once there is Ama, Pajanas are being done, then again Devana is the treatment you need to restore Agni. You need to restore Agni with the help of Devana. So in case of hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, in nutshell, in hyperthyroidism, you need to use medications which are Guru, Snigdha and Shida. Whereas in case of hypothyroidism, you need to use Laghu Ushna Ruksha Guna as Langana, Svedana and Rukshana, Devana according to the clinical purpose and presentation. So I already mentioned this. You see that if a disease is Vadaja thyroid disease, you need to know that Vada is causing those thyroid disease. So Vada Shamana Chikitsa is to be done, and the thyroid dysfunction, what it happens, is also to be done. So as already said, the Hedu is to be addressed as well as the Vyadhi is to be addressed, and the Soda Dushti Nidana and Panchavaya Nidana besides the clinical presentation, which I already said in the previous slides. So you already know these goitrogens. So there are a lot of Aharajanya Nidanas which is causing this enlargement of this thyroid gland. These thiocyanate, thioureas in cabbage, tapioca, these are nothing but Visha. These are nothing but Viruddha, or we can consider it as an Visha. This can directly arrest this thyroid gland synthesis, thyroid hormone synthesis. So these are the examples like cassava, maize, millet, bamboo shoots, sweet potato, beans. These are goitrogens. And once these goitrogens is understood at a cause, you need to reduce the consumption and you need to clear this from the circulations. And once there's a Visha, you need to do Visha Shamana Chikitsa. Tikta Rasas are best Visha Shamanas. So Punannavadi Kashaya, Padoladi Kashayas, Padola Muladi Kashayas are the important choice. Source of iodine, because iodine deficiency can also cause thyroid. So you need to improve this Rasadhatu. You need to improve the nourishment in Rasadhatu by giving this drinking water, fish, cereals, vegetables, iodinated salt. These are all the source. Milk is also a good source of iodine nowadays. And nowadays there is not much of iodine deficiency disorder, except in physiological demanding conditions like pregnancy and in puberty. There can arise a chances of increased demand of iodine. With cholesterol metabolism, cholesterol level is a marker for the effectiveness of therapy in thyroid conditions. Once the thyroid gland, thyroid thyroxine activity is improved, definitely the cholesterol level will come to normal. So that is only because of this Rukshana effect of this thyroid hormone on cholesterol. So once you do operate Rukshana Chikitsa, probably this thyroid-like activity will be improved in your body and lipid metabolism will be taken care of. So in case of thyroid antibodies, So in case of this Graves' disease, these thyroid antibodies are acting against these thyroid stimulating hormone receptors. So this thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin or long-acting thyroid stimulator, this is called LATS, long-acting thyroid stimulator. This will continuously stimulate these thyroid receptors in the thyroid gland, and this is not under the control of any feedback mechanism. So they go on stimulating this thyroid hormone. Since it is similar to activity of thyroid stimulating hormone, it can cause enlargement and hypertrophy and hyperplasia. So these antibodies can cause hyperplasia, and that is where this Graves' disease have diffuse enlargement of this thyroid. So this Graves' disease have this elevated TSIAG. So for Graves' disease, you check thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin against the receptor. So if it is greater than 7 unit, then it is positive for this Graves' workup. Anti-TPO, anti-thyroid peroxidase antibody. These antibodies are associated with Hashimoto thyroiditis. And anti-thyroglobulin antibodies are also associated with Hashimoto thyroiditis, but anti-TPO is more specific. These anti-thyroglobulin antibodies are also measured in case of thyroid cancers. So if there is an increased overstimulation of this receptor, then abnormal protein synthesis, abnormal gene expression can happen, and this may lead to certain conditions like thyroid cancer and all. Thyroid screening has usually been done. The most important period to screen thyroid screening is once they have an gynecological issues, or in case of pregnant women or peri and postmenopausal women, you should do thyroid as a screening. or in any case of symptomatic diseases where TS level is greater than 2.6. Once the most adequate level of thyroid stimulating hormone, it should be between 2 to 2.6. If it is greater than 2.6, you can follow the case. It might, it is not a well functioning thyroid gland. But though the range is up till 5, but if it is more than 3, probably you need to screen the patient at regular intervals. So when coming to Graves' disease, you can see Graves' disease, as I already said, is a cause is autoimmunity. So you should consider this Hedu as a Samadosha. Since in Samadosha, this Graves' disease, this enlarged thyroid gland is painless. Since it is painless, you can consider that it is an Kapha Pradhana Samadoshaja. It is also having this ophthalmopathy, this exophthalma. These are also Sama Kapha Pradhana swellings in orbital region. All these fibroblasts, all these fats in this periorbital area get swollen. And that is the reason where due to this they present exophthalmos. They have some tissue homogeneity between this thyroid gland and the retroorbital tissue. Okay, so these are the causes because of this. This is Samadoshaja pathology, and it is associated with hyperthyroidism clinically, and hence that is also associated Atyagni with Dadukshaya in case of Graves' disease. So once you take up a case of a Graves' disease, any presentation, if it is a presentation of a Graves' disease, will fall under this Atyagni and Dadukshaya, and that will be due to this Samadoshaja pathology. No doubt. Though the Graves' disease, a patient with Graves' disease have lot and other symptoms that may not be due to Graves' disease. So you need to address based on the case. Once it is a Graves' disease and the presentation is of Graves' disease, then definitely the case is a Samadoshaja and the case is having Atyagni with Dadukshaya. So while addressing the treatment, as I already said, as to manage this Hedu, as an Hetu Viparita Chikitsa, you need to do Tikta Pajana and Tikta Rasa Yukta Yavagu as Langana. This is the Hetu Viparita Chikitsa you initiate. The purpose of doing Tikta Pajana and Tikta Yavagu is nothing but to do Pajana of this Samadosha. Why you are selecting Tikta Pajana? I already said in case of Pitta Anubandha, when there is an hyperthyroid presentation, when there is Atyagni, you need to do. You cannot select an Kadurasa Dravya Pajana. You need to select a Tikta Pajana. Tikta Pajana are Pitta Samanas. So this is the apt Pajana you to select. And by this Pajana, this thyroid swelling, the cause of the thyroid swelling is reduced, and the symptomatic reduction, well-being in the patient is observed. Because of associated thyroid toxicosis, again we need to do Atyagni Chikitsa. And for Atyagni Chikitsa, once this Pajana is being done, then you need to do Tikta Grudha Shamana Sneha. Because the case is an autoimmune kind of cases, you need to operate with Tikta Grudha to manage Atyagni Lakshanas. This Tikta Grudha, the examples of Tikta Grudha, Tiktagam, Mahatiktagam, Padoladi Gridas are the choices. This to be given as a Shamana Sneha once proper Tikta Pajana is being done. This will help you in managing the presentations of Graves, hyperthyroidism as well as this enlargement. For Tikta Pajana, you can use Punannavadi Kashaya. Nodular goiters. The Hedu is Vada Kapha if the goiter is cold. The Hedu is Vada Kapha if the nodule is not secreting a thyroxine hormone. And the Vyadhi is Agni Mandya in case of hypothyroidism. When the thyroxine hormone synthesis is low, then you consider it as an Agni Mandya. The Hedu is Vada Kapha. So you do a Vada Kapha Shamana Chikitsa here. Here there is no need of a Pajana because there is no Ama Anubandha. So you can directly do a Vada Kapha Shamana Chikitsa as an Hedu Viparita Chikitsa. You can use Indugandha Kashaya. You can use Varanadi Kashaya. All Kaphavada Samana, all Kadu Ushna Dravyas, you can select it in this case. Since there is no hyperthyroidism, you are free to select Kadurasa Dravya. Vyadhi Viparita Aushadas, you need to select a Shofa Grandhihara Chikitsa. You need to select Vada Kapha Shobhara Grandhihara Chikitsa. in order to do a Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa, in order to reduce this nodular lesion. You need to reduce this presentation of this Agni Mandya or Vada Kapha Vriddhi in various dhadus. You need to do Vada Kapha Hara Chikitsa. So you see, Agni Dibana, the phase, in the early phase, you need to do Agni Dibana with Churna, Kashayas and Arishtas. All Vada Kapha Shamana, Agni Dibana yogas is you can select in this case. The second phase, you need to sustain those Agni Dibana by Snehas. Again, Indugandha Gridas, Dadimati Gridas are the choice of material. Because those operate at the level of Rasadadu well. They re-establish those Agni. If the nodular goiters is secreting thyroxine, if it isn't hot, it is not cold, it isn't hot, it is Atyagni. If it is a hot nodule, then you need to do a Vada Pitta Samana Chikitsa. Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa, you need to do Shofa Granthira Chikitsa with Tikta Rasas. You need to select only Tikta Rasas in case of hyperthyroidism. Shamana Sneha, you need to select, as I already said in Graves' disease, you need to do Tikta Rasa Gridas like Tikta Gampadola Grida like conditions. Subacute painful granulomatous thyroiditis. If there is an inflammatory thyroid pathologies, again all the inflammation you need to consider it is if it is painful, it is there will be redness kind of things. You need to consider the Hedu as a Sama Pitta. Vyadhi is a Rasadushti and Agni Dushti. Why it is Agni Dushti? Because it can either be an hyperthyroidism or it can be hypothyroidism later. So once it is a phase of hyperthyroidism, you need to do Vada Pitta Shamana Chikitsa. Tikta Pajana, all in case of Pitta Anubandha, you need to do Pajana with Tikta Rasas only. When it is Vada Kapha, again, Kadu Rasa Dibanas can be selected if it is an hypothyroid condition. So since it is you are going to manage Agni, the Aushadas which act on Agnis are Dibanas. That is the most important thing. The Aushadas which act on doshas like Vada Pitta Shamana, Vada Kapha Shamanas are acting on doshas. Aushadas, if you need to act on Agni, it should be Divanas. So that is what important is. Subacute painless lymphocytic thyroiditis. This again, it is because it is painless, it is Sama Kapha. In all kind of Kapha swelling, that is Mandaruk or Aruk. Again, the Vyadhi is Agni Mandya here. Here in Sama Kapha, Pajana with Shadharna, Gomutra, Ridhigi you can use. For managing Agni Mandya, I already said Langana, Dibana, Sayana, Svedana, Dibana kind of pathologies, kind of treatment principles are ideal. Post-surgical hypothyroidism, again it is a Dhadu Kshayavastha. There is no cause left. It is a Dhadu Kshayavastha. You need to directly operate on Agni Mandya Chikitsa. You can use Dibana Sarpis. If the avasthas are Nirama, you can directly operate on Dibana Sarpis. Okay. So again, the other important part in while managing, while your intent is to do Pitta Samana by Tikta Rasas at one part, and in hypothyroid patient you need to stimulate Agni by using Langana, Pajana, Rukshana, Dibana kind of methodologies, principles. So along with that, Samsarana Karma plays a very important, because as you all know, Samsarana Karma is one such treatment principles or ideologies where it is, though employed in Shodhana, it is very well focused for Agni Dibana. And that can be made used as patyas in while managing the cases of hypothyroidism especially. So you always operate on Manda Peya kind of Yavagu kind of aharas without snehas. So the main idea is to reduce the use of sneha up till these Agnis are getting normal. Once the Agni is established, you try to sustain those Agni by use of sneha. So that is why in the first phase of management for Agni Dibana, you give Churna, Asava, Rishtas. And second phase, once the Agnis are improving, you tend to improve further, and to sustain those Agni, you use this Grida. So there are other causes also, as I already said. There can be causes related with hypothalamus and pituitary, which is leading to overactivity of underactivity of thyroid. So once it is an overactive of hypothalamus and pituitary, that the main treatment principle should be Vada Shamana Chikitsa. that all the treatments which are mentioned in Shirogada Vada Chikitsas are very useful. Murdani Tailas like Shirodhara and Takradharas are very useful in case of overactive thyroid, that is in hyperthyroid present.